The air in the chief's conference room was thick with the dust of old paperwork and the heavy scent of stale ambition. Chief Elena Reyes sat at the head of the polished oak table, her face a mask of weary hope. Across from her sat Detective Marcus Cole, a man whose 25 years on the force had replaced his youthful idealism with a cynical confidence. He wore a sneer that seemed perfectly tailored to the moment. The subject of his scorn stood before the room's massive holographic display. Dr. Anya Sharma, the youngest director of the city's experimental forensic AI division, hardly older than 30, dressed in a sharp, gray suit that contrasted sharply with the rumpled, traditional attire of the homicide unit. Her posture was straight, her hands clasped loosely in front of her, a stillness that echoed the quiet control of a seasoned warrior. For 15 years, Anya began, her voice calm and controlled, cutting through the silence like a scalpel. The murder of Victor Sterling has been categorized by this department as a closed/unsolved case. Our new system, the Oracle, has reopened it. Detective Cole let out a short, dry laugh, just loud enough to be heard. The Oracle, he repeated, mimicking her tone. Sounds like a cheap sci-fi novel, Doctor. We spent 5,000 man-hours on the Sterling file. We interviewed every associate, reviewed every piece of physical evidence, and chased every dead-end lead. What is your fancy little gadget going to do? Tell us the killer used a very big knife. Anya didn't flinch. She kept her eyes fixed on the chief, treating Cole's interruption as a low, inconsequential frequency. This was the exact arrogance she had spent her career preparing for, the dismissive posture of those who mistake tradition for competence, much like Judge Grayson's sneer towards Jalen Dawson. Detective Cole, Anya finally turned to him, her tone polite but piercing. Your team did a thorough job collecting the data. Our job is to process it without the constraints of human bias. Bias? We go on instinct, Doctor. It's what keeps the streets safe, Cole shot back, puffing out his chest. We concluded 15 years ago that Sterling's business partner, Alan Reed, was the most likely suspect. High motive, no solid alibi. The case died because we couldn't get the forensics to stick to him. End of story. Anya nodded slowly. Indeed. Alan Reed's initial financial instability and proximity to the victim made him the perfect primary suspect. Human first thinking led you right to him. But the Oracle doesn't look for the most likely suspect. It looks for the most statistically improbable anomaly. It looks for the lie hidden in the sheer noise of the truth. She pressed a button. The holographic display shifted from a picture of the late Victor Sterling to a dense, spiderweb-like diagram of financial transactions, call logs, and network pings, 15 years of digital minutiae compiled from millions of lines of data. You focused on Alan Reed's high-profile gambling debts and his lack of a solid alibi during the window of time. Our system analyzed 2 million unrelated data points from the Sterling Corporation's private internal network logs that your team tagged as irrelevant data and immediately filtered out. Cole narrowed his eyes. Irrelevant data is irrelevant, Doctor. That's why we filter it. Anya's lips curled into the faint, almost imperceptible smirk of someone who knows she holds the winning hand. Detective, that data wasn't irrelevant. It was simply incomprehensible without a neural net to connect it. The Oracle found a single, non-recurring 18-character key phrase buried within a firewall maintenance log, dated exactly 72 hours before Victor Sterling's murder. That phrase was not a code, not a password, and not a technical note. It was a person's first name and a private term of endearment. She paused, letting the silence stretch, forcing the room to feel the weight of what she hadn't yet said. Detective Cole, you said you interviewed every associate. Did you interview Caroline Sterling? Cole blinked, his confidence faltering. Caroline Sterling, the wife? She was the one who found the body. Perfect alibi. She was at a charity gala downtown the night of the murder. Cameras, witnesses, the whole 9 yards. A grieving widow, we cleared her day one. A perfect alibi, Anya agreed, her voice smooth. One that was confirmed by a network of well-meaning but ultimately subjective human witnesses. Now, let's talk about that alibi for a second, Detective, because the Oracle has found a significant conflict. She tapped the display. A new chart appeared, showing a timeline of the murder night. On one side was Caroline Sterling's GPS data from her phone, showing her presence at the gala. On the other was a timeline of the house's internal systems. The murder occurred between 11:30 p.m. and 1 a.m. Caroline's alibi placed her at the gala until 1:30 a.m. Ironclad. However, the Oracle flagged one anomaly that a human reviewer wouldn't know to look for, because it's only detectable when compared to years of archived data. Anya leaned in slightly, lowering her voice. the kind of tone that makes everyone else stop talking. Caroline Sterling wore a specific highly advanced smart bracelet to track her sleep patterns. This data was legally obtained but dismissed as medical clutter by your team. The Oracle, however, cross-referenced the bracelet's connectivity logs with the home's low-frequency Wi-Fi network records. At 11:45 p.m. on the night of the murder, Anya continued, her eyes fixed on Cole, the home's secondary Wi-Fi signal, which is only strong enough to penetrate the house's master bedroom safe room, logged a 2-second connection with Caroline Sterling's smart bracelet. This connection is impossible, Detective, because that specific bracelet model automatically powers down its Wi-Fi antenna when it detects a location change of over 5 miles and requires a minimum of 3 hours to re-engage its local network search. She was 12 miles away at the gala. Cole stared at the screen, speechless. His brain was struggling to reconcile the flawless, human-confirmed alibi with this cold, mechanical contradiction. Wait, that's a glitch. A network error. It happens all the time. Anya shook her head slowly. In 15 years, the Oracle has ingested 400 terabytes of home network data from thousands of documented cases. It has identified 147 different types of network glitches. The anomaly on the night of the Sterling murder does not match any known error profile. It suggests only one thing. The bracelet was physically present in the master bedroom safe room at 11:45 p.m. But that's insane. How could it be there when she was at the gala? Cole demanded, standing up, his face reddening. His control was shattering, just like Officer Larson's when Eric Porter turned the tables. That is the human question, Detective, Anya said, her voice dropping to a decisive finality. The Oracle doesn't ask how. It merely confirms what happened. And what happened is this: the bracelet was not on her wrist. It was transported by a third party, used to remotely confirm a biometric safety lock, and then taken back. To understand how the Oracle found a clue that 50 men and women missed, you must understand its genesis, the silence that fueled its creation. Dr. Anya Sharma didn't build the AI to find guilty people. She built it to expose the flaws in the justice system. She grew up watching case after case close, not because the right person was found, but because the investigation hit a wall of human fatigue or institutional bias. The Oracle was born in the digital wreckage of 70,000 cold case files. Anya fed it every piece of data, every hastily filed police report, every ambiguous forensic photo, every financial record labeled irrelevant, and every piece of subjective witness testimony. She was teaching it to detect the patterns of human error, to see the world not through the lens of certainty, but through the matrix of probability. She trained it to recognize a specific human failing, the tendency to satisfice, to accept the first solution that is good enough. The original detectives found Alan Reed, a perfect scapegoat with a clear motive. The case became about proving Reed was the killer, not finding the killer. The Oracle, however, had no preconceptions. It saw the Sterling case as a collection of nodes. It spent 4 months running a single query: identify any 2 non-connected data points that should, by all statistical standards, be impossible to coexist at the same time and location. It didn't look for an alibi crack. It looked for a physical impossibility. The small Wi-Fi ping from a medical device, which should have been 12 miles away at a specific moment in time, was its one impossible coexistence. This single quiet digital event was its Creed Marston, the ally that showed up in the room when everyone else had given up. The Oracle was the silent witness, the ultimate guardian of the truth lost in the noise. Back in the conference room, Cole stood frozen, staring at the timeline. Chief Reyes rubbed her temples, looking at Anya with a mixture of awe and dawning dread. If the bracelet was at the house and Caroline was at the gala, who took the bracelet to the safe room? Chief Reyes asked quietly. Anya walked to the display and activated a 3D overlay of the Sterling mansion floor plan. The safe room was built after the couple was married. Victor was paranoid about digital security. The room could only be unlocked by his retina scan or by an emergency biometric handshake with a pre-registered medical device. In this case, Caroline's smart bracelet, which she wore constantly. This feature was installed so she could retrieve emergency documents if he was incapacitated. The killer needed to access the safe room to retrieve something, likely a critical financial document, and they used the bracelet to do it, Anya stated. But who would have access to the bracelet at the gala? Cole muttered, pacing. A close friend? A valet? Anya shook her head. The bracelet contains sensitive biometric data. The Oracle also flagged its internal gyroscopic log. It showed it was removed from a wrist and then carefully placed in a small, padded jewelry box. Not a rush job. She pressed a button. A picture filled the screen, a photograph from the night of the gala, taken by a society photographer. It showed Caroline Sterling mid-conversation. Next to her, holding a purse and a velvet-lined jewelry box, stood her sister, Ilara Vance. The perfect sister, the trusted ally. Ilara Vance, Anya announced. Her presence at the gala was not part of the required attendance. She was a silent, auxiliary member of Caroline's party. The Oracle cross-referenced Ilara's location data. She left the gala at 11:15 p.m. claiming a headache. She took an electric scooter, logging a non-traditional route that avoided all traffic cameras. She traveled directly to the Sterling home, used the bracelet to open the safe room, retrieved what she needed, and returned to the gala's parking garage by 1 a.m., rejoining Caroline just before she left. Cole gaped. But why would she do that? Why would the sister kill him? She has no motive. That, detective, is where human logic fails again, Anya said. The key phrase I mentioned earlier? The one buried in the firewall maintenance log. She brought the words up on the screen. Ilara, my little phoenix. Victor Sterling's private journal, which your team collected but filed as emotional fluff, confirms Ilara Vance was his secret mistress for 3 years. The term Little Phoenix was his private pet name for her. The murder wasn't about a business partner's debt, it was about a family secret. Anya pointed to the phrase. Victor put this phrase in the internal log to signal to Ilara that he was about to expose their affair and cut her off financially. She didn't kill him for money, she killed him because he was about to steal her entire, secret, second life. Cole's face was pale. The old case, the one that had solidified his belief in his own methods, was now a public testament to his team's failure to read the whole picture. He had been defeated, not by a better detective, but by logic stripped of assumption. The bracelet, the secret nickname, the off-grid scooter ride, the Oracle connected 3 data points that a human would never link, simply because they were looking for a high-profile white-collar suspect, not the quiet family member standing on the perimeter. Chief Reyes slowly stood up. She looked at Cole, then back at Anya, and finally at the damning data on the screen. The entire room, the handful of homicide officers present, was now completely silent, watching the unraveling of a 15-year myth. The quiet respect for Dr. Sharma's work started to swell in the room. Dr. Sharma, the chief said, her voice firm, prepare the affidavit. We have an arrest to make. And Detective Cole, I want you to spend the next 2 weeks in Dr. Sharma's lab. You will learn how to read the data, not just the report. Cole looked like a man who had walked into quicksand, defeated not by force, but by quiet, irrefutable truth. He simply nodded once, his earlier bluster evaporated. He didn't waste his breath. Anya didn't gloat. She didn't have to. Her work spoke for itself. The victory wasn't just in punishing the killer, it was in validating a better, fairer method of justice. The story of the Sterling cold case is a stark reminder. In the vast oceans of data surrounding every crime, the truth is always there. It does not whisper, it does not shout. It sits in a tiny anomaly, a contradictory network ping, a single phrase filed away as irrelevant, waiting for an unbiased mind to finally see it. We must embrace the future of justice. Because justice isn't just about catching the bad guys. It's about building a system that can see beyond its own prejudices and biases, one that values integrity, fairness, and the power of data above the comfort of human-first conclusions. The machine has no ego. The machine has no fatigue. It simply sees. And the day we learn to listen to the silence of the data is the day 1,000 more cold cases will finally feel the heat of justice. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to see the power of true, unbiased analysis. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel for more stories where AI solves the crimes police couldn't, and let's keep the conversation going.